understanding that matter, Aamir brings a unique perspective to this discussion. How will AI influence creativity and storytelling, and what role does cinema play in shaping our relationship with technology? Let's find out from one of the most compelling voices in world cinema. Moving very quickly, next I'd like to invite Dr. Rajesh M. Parekh, neurophysicist, researcher, and polymath whose work spans medicine, mental health, and beyond. He's a poet, painter, author, quizzer, and India's first leading neuropsychiatrist. He has been invited to lecture at Harvard, Yale, Johns Hopkins, and leading universities, including France, where he lectures in French. He is fluent in 6 languages and is currently learning Sanskrit and Greek. He is setting up the Department of AI in Medicine at the Jaslok Hospital, where he is Director of Medical Research. With expertise in neuroscience and eye on the intersection of human cognition and technology, Dr. Parekh is perfectly poised to discuss AI's implications for healthcare, mental well-being, and how it interacts with our very minds. Besides, he has read all of Yuval's books and for some references at the end. And finally, for the star of the event, our speaker needs no introduction, but I'll try anyway. Professor Yuval Noah Harari is a historian, philosopher, and best-selling author whose works have shaped the way we understand humanity's past, present, and future. With books like *Sapiens*, *Homo Deus*, and *21 Lessons for 21st Century*, Yuval has explored everything from agricultural revolution to the challenges of artificial intelligence. His latest book, Nexus, deep dives into how AI is reshaping our world, and tonight he'll share his insights on what this age of AI means for humanity, creativity, and our shared future. Now can I have a shared round of applause for now everyone's on stage? Thank you. I love how patient and understanding you've all been, but we will now delay this no longer. I think now everyone has heard enough from me, and I will request Dr. Parekh to take it from here.
यार तुम लोग अभी बैठ जाओ.
Thank you.
बस मैम, just have a seat there.
Thank you, Pallavi, for your kind words of introduction. Clearly, there was only one person on stage who needed some introduction, and possibly got the longest. But it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for being here with us, both Yuval and Aamir. And also thank you, all of you, who have come here. Clearly, there is a glue that binds us all, and that is the love of books, and of course, a love of Yuval and his writing, Aamir and his creative output. As we were walking in, I heard some mention of how important books are. The written word, the book that you hold in your hand. And I thought it might be appropriate if the three of us started today's discussion by talking about the significance of books in our lives, personally, and of course, in general. So maybe Yuval, you could just tell us something about the books you've read, and then of course, we'll get to the books that you've written.
No, I don't think the mic is good.
So maybe I need the microphone. No.
It's working.
So books accompanied all my life. I loved reading books as a child, as a kid. I would read history books and mythology books, trying to understand the world. It took me a lot of time to understand the simple truth that you can't really understand the world just by reading books. And I have to say, as an author, and as somebody who still puts a lot of energy into books, ultimately you cannot understand the world through books. I mean, they point at something in reality, and this is an extremely important service they provide. But ultimately you have to go there yourself.
I assume that would apply to the books you've written as well.
Absolutely, also my books. First of all, I have to say, they are just human creations, and as such, they are fallible. They have mistakes and errors, things I don't understand, things that I forgot to include, and this is true of every book. And again, I hope that people would read my books not as kind of, the final word on something like AI, for instance, but as an invitation to go and explore themselves. I see them more, all my books, Sapiens, Homo Deus, Nexus, as books of questions, more than books of answers. That yes, they provide some answers, but the most important service that I hope to provide to people is focusing the attention on the most important questions. Because the world is so confusing that people often spend their entire lives trying to solve the wrong problems. And it happens not just to individuals, that you spend 40 years on something, and then when you're 50 you realize, actually maybe I dedicated my life to trying to solve the wrong problem. It can happen to the whole of humankind. I think that entire societies fall into this trap of dedicating themselves to solving the wrong problems. And I've been watching, for instance, the presidential debates in the United States and what people are talking about. And it's not so much the answers that bother me, it's the questions. That the focus of the debate is often on relatively insignificant issues. From the big debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, what most people eventually, the only thing they remember for the entire debate is the comment about the cats and dogs. That's it. Which of course went to show what a PR genius Donald Trump is. But it's always what he says that people eventually remember. So whatever else you think about the person, he's definitely a PR genius. But really, the question of who should lead the most important country in the world should be decided by the issue of whether or not people eat dogs and cats. And I think good books, what they really provide people, they plant in your mind the important questions. Whether you accept the answers that they give you, that's less important.
Well, I've been an avid reader all my life. I just love reading all kinds of books. And I agree with most of what Yuval said. Yeah. But I have a confession to make right at the beginning, which I didn't tell any of the organizers or anyone, because the book came to me some time back and I was supposed to have read it. But my schedule in the last couple of months has been really crazy. So I haven't read the book. And I didn't tell anyone because I was afraid, because I'm a huge fan of Yuval, and I was afraid they might say, oh, you haven't read the book, so someone else has to replace you. So I didn't tell anyone, now I'm telling you all. But maybe it's good because I want to start by asking Yuval, what is the center, what is the heart of what you're trying to say in the book? And how did that come about?
Well, the key question of the book is a simple question. If humans are so smart, why are we so stupid? That's the basic question of the book. We have conquered this planet. We are now the dominant species on this planet. We have reached the moon. We have split the atom. We can make fireworks. We are so powerful. And yet, time and again, as individuals and as an entire species, we are making such dumb decisions, self-destructive decisions. We are now on the verge of ecological collapse. The ecological system of the entire planet, because of our mismanagement, is on the verge of collapse. We are creating an extremely powerful new technology, AI, which we'll discuss later, which might escape our control and enslave or annihilate us, because it is the first technology in history which is not just a tool, it is an agent. It is something that can act, that can learn independently, making decisions, inventing new things. These are two huge dangers. And instead of uniting in order to deal with them, we are also now in the process of destroying the international system, the global order. International tensions are rising very, very fast, and we are on the verge, perhaps, of a third world war. So these are not the actions of a very wise species. So what's happened? And you know, for thousands of years, people have asked this question. Why are we so self-destructive? And a lot of traditions, religious and theological traditions, they gave the answer that there is something wrong in human nature. There is a flaw in human nature which makes us self-destructive. But the answer I try to give in Nexus is different. The problem is not in our nature, the problem is in our information. If you give good people bad information, they make bad decisions. And then the question becomes, why do we have so much bad information? And with thousands of years of developing more and more sophisticated information technology, you would have expected that the quality of our information will improve. But this is not what is happening. Modern societies in the modern age are as likely as Stone Age tribes to fall into mass delusion or mass psychosis. Millions of people, billions of people, believing extremely deluded and harmful stories about the world and about themselves. So this is what the book really explores. Why is the quality of our information not improving over time? And where do all the harmful stories that flood the world, where do they come from?
In fact, this is probably a time when it's most difficult as compared to some time earlier to understand and know what is true. Half the time we don't know what is true and what is not, because we see so much nowadays on the internet. Almost anything can be, created. So what is true has become even more difficult to discern.
Yeah. I mean, previously, it was mostly words on paper. You knew that just because you read something on paper doesn't mean it's true. But if you see a picture, if you hear a voice, if you see a video,